Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushua, Ba'ashem, Harakakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, great males down the real well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work of sharing truth, pushing his word to the four corners. Um, we had on, I believe Sunday, um, what do you call it? A test being done, of like the emergency alert system, as they're calling it in the UK, which it was kind of wild because I think it kind of is the fact is it's being tested, it's being highlighted, is an extension of the lockdown kind of protocols where the government taking that much control, even to where it'll be like, okay, because even where I work we have like speakers that are hooked up to the network, and it's similar to where those speakers obviously play music during the day, but then if an alarm goes off, like the entire building essentially will hijack the speakers of any of like the speakers in the building, and all of them will either kill them or they'll start like sounding the same alarm and warnings and all that shit for the people to listen to and follow. So all these, this basically goes into the Internet of Things, because it says here, so it's on the Guardian, it says sound that could save your life. UK disaster alert to buzz phones on 23rd of April. It says mobile phones with 4G or 5G signal will make siren sound and vibrate at 3 p.m. on Sunday of test. And yeah, um, that's what happened. It says you're connected. And 4G or 5G, yeah. So yeah, when I was at work at the time, and it was just hella beeping, just like bare people's phones started beeping. I was just like, what's going on with that? So the scope that they have it at is immense. And then again, it's a thing where they can just be tracking compliance, because even this, like the Guardian, if I go back, they had an article about how to disable it as well, because there was a few people like me. I disabled mine, which disabled it. And that would be for any notifications. So similar to the alert that went out in Hawaii, where Hawaii got the message sent out saying like, oh, the nukes on the way. And it was just Hawaii that was being directed at. But what do you call it? It really shows like this Internet of Things. Everything's all linked up. I mentioned, the speakers at work. It's all these systems. They'll have back doors programmed in ahead of time, so that when these things need to be attached to, they'll basically have that ready to go. And it's funny because that was something in iRobot, the film, the Will Smith film in the 2000s, where it had like the AI going rogue and taking over. His whole thing was dealing with vintage shit. So all those things tied up in the Internet of Things, everything being connected, it basically didn't give him the what do you call it? It didn't have him getting caught up in the net of everyone else basically being surveilled. It's funny because with um with what you call it, uh slipped my mind. Okay, let me read on a bit. So it says the UK's emergency alert system is due to be tested on the 3rd of April, no, 3 p.m. on a Sunday, the 23rd of April, causing all 4G and 5G capable mobile phones in the country to make a loud siren like sound even if they're placed on silent. The alerts are designed to notify the public of life threatening emergencies, but there are cases where the test could expose hidden mobile phones and put people at risks. Oh, yeah, this is the one to the side. Yeah, okay. So, it's the original one. Says about the emergency alert system is designed to broadcast urgent messages in event of a disaster such as severe flooding, fires, or extreme weather. It's been tested in East Suffolk and Reading. But this is the first time the whole country will receive an alarm. Similar systems exist in other countries, including the US, Canada, the Netherlands, and Japan. So it's just something that exists in other places, and you wouldn't even know. Huh? It's kind of wild. What does it say? Mobiles with 4G or 5G or signal, with a 5G or 4G or 5G signal, will emit a loud siren-like sound, receive a message on their phone home screen, and vibrate for up to 10 seconds. The Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, Oliver Dowden, said, "Put the date in your diaries. 3 p.m. on the 23rd of April, we'll be testing our new national emergency alert system." So yeah, it's that, it said it's gonna go out, it's gonna bounce around, everyone's gonna hear it. Hmm. uh, Getting this system operational with the national test means with another tool in the toolkit to keep the public safe. It could be the sound that saves your lives, which, that's pretty much how these expansions of what's expected, what's standard, even in underneath Esau's so-called system, what's legal. Um, these things are all going to be expanded on because it's you go back it's interesting. It mentions 4G and 5G phones. So if you got a 3G phone, if you got just regular connection, then apparently ain't nothing to show up. Uh, the government was criticized during the pandemic for lagging behind other countries on the technology and repeatedly ignoring its own findings. So yeah, it's it's wild. Unless you're talking about it's based on the pandemic. With that, they've now come to where um you know things that they didn't do back then are now being looked at like, yo, you guys need to take care of business and get these things sorted. And this alert system is one of them. But then, what else is it going to tie to going forward? Because I think if they got a back door to to turn off the silent mode, turn the noise on. Because these things always are, it's cascade effect, always gains as it goes on. Yeah, I figured. Ecclesiasticus 12:10, it says, "Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." And yeah, that's what really needs to be observed when it comes to these things that are apparently for, the greater good, to keep everyone safe. How else is that back door into phones going to work out? The government can just, tippity tap, and everyone's phone's beeping. That means there's a back door into the phone, and that applies to like every phone. uh, Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hadst wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. And yeah, so you kind of have to look at these situations, because the whole thing going down is just not going to be what it appears on the surface. It's not going to be just like, oh yeah, we're just testing and blah blah blah. There's going to be more to it, and that's how Esau gets down. But yeah, just a quick one. Yeah, shalom, shalom. Shalom.